Alright, we're getting back onto our project here, putting the motor together. This is for that bike that's over there on the rack right there. So this is a 78 shovelhead. We're making it 93 cubic inch stroker kit with big cylinders. So this stuff was all sent out for repolishing again. So this time I went to a good polisher. Did a nice job. So now I gotta get all this crap cleaned out of here, so I can start putting things together, like put all the studs and stuff on here and mock up, make sure the crank and the cylinders and everything fits in here like it's supposed to. So the problem is finding a way of cleaning the all this buffing rouge and sanding grit off the cases without destroying anything. That gasket, I guess. So the like I know it's a soda cleaner that I've been trying to find stuff to use, and so far I've been failing miserably at doing this. So this is a polished backing plate, and that's what it looked like after it came out of the ultrasonic cleaner. It did a good job of getting the buffing rouge off, but it kind of didn't quite look like this anymore. So unless you're into a custom job like that. So I get to repolish this. It also made the inside here all gray from the washer or the dishwashing fluid cleaning it. Now what I used was a non-phosphate cleaner, which should not attack the aluminum. It's called Dawn. It's supposed to be very easy on stuff. Not quite that easy on aluminum. So on the container on the front it says use for dishwashing soap. On the back of the label it says don't use for dishwashing soap. My guess is that because when you put heat to it, it turns into a caustic solution of crap. Kills all your aluminum pots and pans and other stuff you got. So be forewarned. And that was the least aggressive dishwashing soap I know of. So anyway, that didn't work very well. So now I sent out for some cleaners. Some real stuff. Got to wait a week for it to come in, so another $300 spent on stuff that we don't know if it'll work. And I also sent out for some coatings to clear coat the cases and stuff for the aluminum so it won't ever corrode again. And that was another $300, $400. That was probably more like $400 at least. So anyway, we're waiting for that. So we don't just have the cases to worry about, we also have the heads to worry about, because they're nicely polished also. I don't think you're going to be in there polishing a lot of these crevices here, especially 2-3 inches deep in the fins there, all the way down in. So anyway, these have to be cleaned also and then sealed, but they stay that way. I got 2 or 3 of these motors we're working on. So here's the cover here, cam cover. This one here was, I think, chrome plated. So anyway, I got a lot of stuff to play with here. So I got to figure out where all the parts are. After I get the cases cleaned up, I got to put the studs in here for the cylinder. So I got to figure out how tall these studs need to be. These here are 80-inch length, they look like. Let's see if we're going to use those, if we're going to use 74 length studs. Depends on what cylinder base nuts we have running around here. So you want to know the difference between the two. And these are probably all 74 studs in that package. There's your difference. Uh-oh. Oh, down here with the knucklehead parts and the panhead dual carb shit. We keep all the valuable shit on the floor where nobody knows it. Don't look under there. Top secret. So there's your difference in your stud. It's the same that goes in the case right here, but the part that goes through the cylinder is different lengths. 80-inch cylinders are thicker on the flanges here, right here. And they also had a triangle washer that went on there, a big fat washer. So they were a different design than the 74 motor. So this here obviously was a later motor. Oh, excuse me. They changed mid through 78s when they changed this, when the 80-inch motors came out. They changed all this stuff. That's why when you look at the original cylinder, these aren't original, these are S&S, they'll have a -78 number right here in the deck, as you'll know. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and then I'll answer the phone too. I'll be back. Okay, I got this all cleaned up now. This is about the cleanest I can get the stuff around here with the using solvent. Solvent doesn't really cut buffing rouge. I can blow the grit and stuff out, but you can't get all the buffing rouge out. Now, before these cases were polished, I bead blasted the whole inside of the cases, everything, to get them nice and clean on all surfaces. I oiled up the races so they wouldn't get rusty. You see how they got a little rusty on the outside here. Turn the damn light not on. There it goes. So it's still got a little bit rusty on these surfaces for some reason. But the bearing areas are nice and clean still. So now we keep everything as clean as we can. So still when you touch them, you'll get gray on your fingers from the buffing rouge every now and then. So I'm going to try to get the ultrasonic cleaner set up to clean them out really, really good. Never have been satisfied with cleaning them up the way I do it now. Also, when I put the clear coat on here, I got to get it down to bare metal too. No, can't have any solvent residue on anything. So that makes a difference too. Now these are buffed by a professional that actually knows what the hell they're doing. So when you put the studs in the case, all your surfaces line up nice and cleanly. So it's a full show job. And we purposely told them do not buff these surfaces over here. Didn't say about here, but that's a good thing they didn't do that. Because if they cut it over here, they cut the gasket surface off for sealing your cylinder. That's the original case, how thin it was. This is the other case. So we told them to stay off of that. We told them to stay off the decks up here so you didn't buff them too bad. Same on these surfaces here. I freshly cut these so they're all flat. So if you're watching other videos, you'll see what I did. They also didn't buff down the sides of the holes here, like a lot of cheap buffers will. They did get too carried away here, so they cut away the boss for sealing. So I'm going to come back here and spot face this here. So I have a sealing lip right here. They did get too carried away right here. And you see over here where this nut goes, they're getting kind of heavy too. But anyway, they try to keep them off of those areas where they can. So you have to come back and respot face some of these when they get too radiused over. This here they were good, they didn't get them too bad. So all of this stuff is stuff you got to pay attention to and fix when you come back. A good polisher will know not to do stuff like that. The bad ones don't, so they destroy your parts for you. So they stay off the gasket surface here. They did buff it up here a little bit where you above the oil pump, but they stayed off the surfaces where we told them to stay off of them. So that's how you do that. Anyway, this is pretty good. This is the one that we had the JB weld right here. See what it looks like now. So it's pretty clean. There's also a little nick right there that got left over, which is good. It's nice and clean. So I gotta put the dowels back into that surface. And this one here is where I put the JB weld on the side to see what would happen. It hasn't fallen out yet. We'll see if we keep it in there. Alright, so right now I need to see where all my parts are at. This just does I have for now. I take special hardware with the big cylinders. You can't use stock hardware. So let's put this over here. Oh, the guy sent me a new fixture here for holding the camera. Quick disconnect. Just spend some time modifying that to get it to work correctly. So we'll see how that works. So, like most of the stuff you buy, it doesn't fit. It doesn't work like it's supposed to when you get it. I didn't videotape me modifying that though. But I spent about an hour doing it. That's why it works pretty good now. Alright, so obviously we know where our crank is at. Let's see what we got in the box over here. Some of the stuff we're going to use, some stuff we're not. These are the old pistons we're not going to use because they're damaged. Because dumbass who put the motor together didn't understand how stroker motors work, and big bore motors. So your case bolts, you have to pulley cut them out. That would be the one that goes right through here. See how the bolt cuts through? And right here. And you have a regular bolt sticking in there. Like this. The diameter sits up into where the cylinder is. So what they did was they beat the bolts into the case. There's a thing called a cylinder spigot right here. And they just beat the bolt right through the spigot, cracked the spigot, and then they dimpled the piston. So they destroyed a brand new top and it's never even been run. So these pistons here are possibly cracked or damaged. They're definitely damaged. They might be cracked. We don't know. They're definitely damaged. So I had to buy all new stuff. What happens when dumbasses work on your stuff to know what they're doing. So I cut the studs like this so you can put them in there any way you want. You just can never take them out of the motor once the cylinders are down. That's one thing you got to remember about a big bore motor. You can never pull the bolts out without pulling cylinders first. Otherwise you will damage them again because when you get to the thick part, it breaks it again. Alright, customer just drove up, so more people to help. Yeah, it's only 9 o'clock at night too. We'll be back. Alright, we're back at it again. Lots of interruptions. Alright, we're going to separate out the parts we're going to keep from the ones we're not going to use here. So we got to figure this out right now. So I got bags of stuff here. There's a bunch of main bearing parts here. So it appears we're using a late style bearing for the crank. So I'm going to have to get dirty a little bit. Big clip for it. So we'll have to make sure that fits the case. Okay, so all of this stuff here needs to be all cleaned up because you can see it's got dirt and stuff on it. Got to clean all this slimy crap off of here. Make sure there's no wear on it and use it if we can. This bag of junk we'll need. Here's our other piston. And this one appears to not be damaged like the other one was. So that means they probably got one broken cylinder instead of two. More wonderful stuff. Okay, this appears to be the oil pump. Looks like an S&S pump. Okay. So that obviously has to be cleaned up. There's our head bolts, cam cover screws. So instead of using plastic Ziploc bags, we use paper towels here, it looks like. There's ignition crap. Base nuts is what I'm looking for. This head bolt, pull out a couple of them. There, make sure I don't mix those up. Just throw them in there, we don't care. There's our lifter blocks. Very nice chrome ones, so those will be used. lifters. We're going to be doing the Evo conversion deal. We'll be on the Evolution lifters in it here. So the S&S block lets us do that. And we have to use the Evo cam. So I have to clean this all up, make sure there's no chrome in the bore, which I can already see in there. So I'll give this a flash hone on the hone and then clean these really good. And make sure they're good to go. Same thing on this one. Alright, what else do we got? There's some rings. And duplicate parts. This is for S&S rocker boxes. Probably, yeah. So we're not going to use the S&S rocker boxes. So we're not going to use any of these things. That is stuff we're not using. Here's a whole another set of head bolts. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. So this is another set of head bolts and base nuts. Extra stuff because we had to buy a whole another top end, so we got more parts. We're not going to use any of this stuff. There's lifter block gaskets, we might use those. Oil lines. Bolts for the lifter blocks. These are the old head gaskets, which there's nothing wrong with these. We can reuse them. This is for the rocker boxes again, which we're not using. So this stuff we're not going to use. These are 2.8 inches of length. They're way too short to use. We're not using those. It takes 3 to 3.1 inch. They always give you these ones that are way too short. I don't know why. They don't work. And S&S won't listen to sense. I think they're perfect like gems. Okay, we're not using these bad pistons. Rings we will be using. This stuff here we're going to use. All of that we're going to use. Okay, so we'll keep all this stuff out. So this box here, we can get rid of most of this. There's some more stuff over here. We're going to use stock rocker boxes. We're going to use stock parts here. Looks like we're going to be using acorn nuts on the top. And these are the original shafts we're going to have to clean up and fit into the new rocker arms that are in this box. Okay, so that's all stuff we got to work on. So we don't have any other cylinder-based studs. We only got the ones down here to work with. And then we're going to use these nuts here. Okay, so what S&S has done now, instead of using a real tall nut like that doesn't strip out as much, they use this little stubby nut that strips out easier. But that allows you to run a wrench up on top of the nut to actually tighten it. So you want to see how much thread you got in there. That's how many threads we got. You got 1 diameter worth of thread. So what I do is I put the studs in the case the right length to make it work. Now this guy here, what they did is they put a washer on here, spacer, so the stud would work, tighten it down. So you defeated the purpose of putting a short nut because now you just put the spacer on it. You could just use the nut that had the full threads on it, like they used to be, the old nut. Probably get some of them over here anyway. Let's see here. A lot of times I have this stuff laying around. So here's a taller nut. This one's for a Sportster, the same difference. So this one here is a colony style nut, but they make these for big twins too. They're just straight up and down. but they sit down, they're tall. So anyway, S&S went to this design, so he wanted to go with this. So we're going to go ahead and mock this up with this one in there. And I'm going to make the stud length correctly, so I don't have to use a stupid spacer. So I'm thinking I'm going to use a 74-inch stud instead of these ones here. But that's what I want to measure. Alright, so the box of stuff we're not using is this one. We're going to get rid of this box. Get in my way. And all of this stuff I'm going to get cleaned up. And we'll come back and put it over here on towels, which we already got some sitting here. Might as well use this paper towels here. Yeah, back. I think blowing up or what? Jeez. Camera's way too close, it seems like. Alright, so you just put all your parts where you don't lose them. Make sure your baggies are empty. I think it's way too close. Probably a new stand that's in the way. See a little better maybe? I don't know. We're trying. Yeah, that works. Okay, more towels we don't need. So this I gotta clean. Got everything all wrapped up in paper and towels everywhere. You can't find anything, you can't see anything. Ah. Found into the oil pump shaft. And my knuckle. Okay, so that has to be cleaned up. Oh, I hear a washer. Washer somewhere. I heard it. I don't see it. We'll find it. It'll pop up. Ah, it was a key. There you go. This stuff all needs to be cleaned. Leave this stuff on the orange container because we got to clean it. This stuff over here we can run it the way it is. We don't have to clean it. Alright, so you get your piles separated so you can find stuff. Clean pile. Clean. Those will have to work on later, and these got to be worked on. Okay, so now you got everything all lined up. Clean out the grit off your bench you just made. So now you got everything nice and laid out, so you can get some work done. See how this new quick disconnect works. There you go. All right, so there's what we did. So this is all our top end parts, cam cover stuff, which we might use, might not use, because we have a different cam cover now. So I gotta get all this stuff. This all has to be cleaned. This here is okay. These I gotta hone, clean them out. So we'll take the lifters out of here, make sure they fit in the blocks, get them fitted. I gotta clean the cylinders up, get that junk off of them, and then figure out my base nut situation here. So that's too much stud. So we're going to have to pull this back to at least here. So right off the bat, I think we're going to use a 74-inch stud. So I'm going to go see if I got some 74-inch studs. And then make that all work. So we're not going to use these little spacer things. So this stuff here, just throw them back here in the corner right there. There's another one. I don't think he's going to want to run these the way they are because they're butt ugly. We're going to want some nice, good, shiny chrome stuff, I'm sure. So we'll have to see what we're going to do about them being butt ugly looking. So we'll have to figure that out. Okay, that's our case bolt. Okay, so right now we got to figure out what we're going to do about our stud length. It's too short. I mean, too long, I mean. Which didn't surprise me one bit. I already pretty well figured that out coming in. Okay, so we need now some 74-inch studs, which is basically these ones over here. This length here. That's what we need. So where's the other one at? There it is. So if we put that one on there, we have the nut on there all the way. And we see how much length we got here. This length here between where it goes into the case and the bottom of the nut has to be about this thickness here. And I figured it without the gasket, so the gasket just gives you clearance. So we mock up everything with the motor bolted up with no gaskets. If it gets tight, we're done, we're good. So right now it looks like I need a 74-inch nut would be my guess. Now, is that one all the way down? That one's not all the way down right now. Let's see, we're a good 1/8 of an inch too short. And see, this one here is a 1/4 inch different. Yeah, let's see here. Try my quick connect here. There you go. How does that look? Okay. Alright, so now I go like this. So this one here is a little bit too short. I mean, this one's a little bit short, this one's a little bit long. So to fix that, you take the long ones, you cut them down is what you do to get them like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much thread I can put into the case. And it looks like I'm going to have to probably shorten these by 1/8 of an inch. These are 1/4 inch shorter. So if I just put these in there, I'll be fine. But I like getting maximum area for thread. So that means I got to see how far I can thread these into this case. And that'll determine how much length I got. I'm going to use. The next thing is, do these go into the case easy, or do they go in hard? It appears they're going in relatively easily. At least up until that point. Got a little goo on it. And then my stud installer. Alright. Half inch. 7/16 20. I had to pick out my puller, my stud installer. I got a bunch of them over there. So this is a collet. Snap-on makes these, which they used to. So it's just a collet. So you screw it onto this here. You know, about that far is adequate. This here is tapered, and it has a bolt that pulls into the taper here, which tightens it up. So these are nice. They don't do any damage to the stud. All you gotta do is just tighten them up like this. So you tighten this one up here, and then you can torque it in with this, or in or out with this one. This is what holds it. And then that's how you do it. So these are nice. They're expensive, but nice. Buy them on eBay like I did. Of course, years ago they were a lot cheaper. Not so many people were on eBay buying stuff. The auctions were cheaper back then. So nice. Yep. Okay, it goes down to that far. Break that through. Just pop it and unscrew it. Okay, so that's how much length we have sticking up right now. Now we take our 6-inch scale, measure what it is. We are about 1/350. Yeah, just under 1/350, so we'll call it 350. And this one was bottomed out in the thread. It doesn't look like it's bottomed out on the top of the thread, so maybe it's inside here, but I guess it ran out of thread down inside. Either way, it doesn't go any deeper. Okay, we know these go in there this far, so now we gotta just figure out what our length is here we're working with. It goes like this here. So I know we're not getting that much in there, we're getting about this much. So it looks to me like these need to be shortened by about 1/8 of an inch to make this all work correctly. So what I do is I take the nut. We have to figure out how much we got going into here. Okay, about 800 on the shortest part. And we are 350-ish there. So we had 800 for overall length. So that's 450 thousandths of thread. 1 diameter, 7/16. So that's all we're getting is 450 above is all we can stand. Okay, so over here we got 350. Is what we got there. 1/350. Now you take your cylinder and you mock it up on the case. Like this. And you measure your distance right here. Damn it. You measure how much you got right here. We can only have 450 thousandths sticking up. We got more than that sticking up right now. So put it down like this. Of course you can't get in to measure it. This is 1/2 inch thick. So it looks like I got about almost 600 hanging out. 450. So we need like 200 thousandths off. So basically a 1/4 inch less than what this is. That's pretty much what this stud here was. So this is our 74-inch stud. I'm going to go ahead and install this one in the case. Let's see what we get with this one. Now this is a used stud. I'll have to go see if I got some new ones. Okay. That size. That one will work. Okay, that bottomed out. Okay, now we take our cylinder, mock it up. And we see what we have for stud length. So that one is pretty short. And about 350 hanging out. So we're 100 thou too deep. So we're coming with a 100 thou difference in length that we have between these two different studs. We need one in between. or we don't put the stud all the way into the case. I like putting the studs all the way into the case. That way you can torque them down good and tight and they don't strip. So the easy way would be to use a 74-inch stud and just don't go all the way in. I don't like doing stuff the easy way, I like doing it the correct way. So what I'm going to do, I take all these studs, I'll cut off 100th thou or so off of these. At least 100, probably 1/8 of an inch. Just make sure I got a little extra, and then call it at that. So then we'll have one that's custom length that's in between these two studs. So that's probably how I'm going to do it. Pretty much what I figured. It'd be in between. So it takes a little bit more effort to do it that way. So I'll waste probably half-hour at least cutting the studs off in the lathe. Probably more than that. But I don't care. I like job done right. This job's going to take to get done. If you want to be quick, we'll do a twin cam. Nice throwaway motor like that are popular. And now I got to get a crescent wrench to hold that. Make sure you don't pull all the way out of the case before you put the crescent wrench on here. There you go. That way you get the stud off. Yep, a little bit too much. Alright, so there's our 74 stud out. Don't mix that up with his. If you look at the stud, watch how it goes like this. That's not a very good stud. The stud goes in and out like this. That's a low quality stud. See, just because it's genuine Harley don't mean it's any good. Okay, so I'm gonna go check to see what colony stuff looks like. See if I got any. See if we have some genuine nice colony studs to use. Maybe they got something that's the right length that we need. Who knows? Oh, it's dark out. Oh, it's 10:30. Maybe that's why it's dark out. See, 10:30 Saturday night. What do we do around here? Work. That's what we do. Same day every day. Okay, so this is my shovelhead box. We're looking for something that looks like this. Are these 80-inch or 74? These are 80-inch stud. This says 78 to 80. This is not the one I want. It's probably the only one I have, though. See, here's the better looking studs, see? Or nuts, I mean. We'll have to see if the owner wants those. See, I can just use the stock studs if I use those. That's if that's what he likes. You can also use stuff like this, which is a nice acorn nut. Looks pretty nice. You can use something like that. That'll fit in there. Looks really, really nice in there. It might be a little bit better to use. If you don't like those, we got black ones. Let's see what we're going to use here. Okay, so those are what I got for hardware and studs. Alright. Now the reason I give you these little short studs is so you can put wrenches under here. Right between here and this. You get a wrench under here. Now, can I do a wrench without doing the other way? See, can you get this in here and still get a wrench on top? It looks to me like it's pretty close to making that work these days. See, it's probably just tall enough it doesn't work. Okay, these are 1/100 tall. Yeah, so you got just enough room that you can't get a wrench in here, see? So instead of cutting the fin away, you use a full length on it. They make you do all this stupid work. They're making the cylinder, they can cut the damn fin off. Right there, cut that whole fin out. Be like a Sportster, you can drop a bolt right in. But no, you can't do that. That, you know, heaven forbid if you took another half a fin off, it'd kill you, right? So I've been known to go in there and grind those out and do that anyway. So anyway, so you can't just put these right out of the box into things. Now this one here, probably about the same height. No, this is a little bit shorter. This is less than 1 inch tall. So this might actually fit in there. So if I put that on there, I might be able to put the wrench on there. It'll be tight, because these is pretty tight when I do this stuff like this. The problem with this is, do you have enough room to run that kind of a hardware? In this case, maybe not. It's pretty tight. See the cutaway in the cylinder right here? That's as much thickness as you got for the nut. This nut here, shoulder, is a little bit thicker than that, so it probably won't fit. It's too big. Diameter's too big. If you cut the diameter down, the chromo goes away, so it's no good either. That's why they force you to use these tall, skinny ones like this. They don't stay as tight because you only got that much surface area to hold it, which isn't really enough. So that's a whole nother problem they have. Alright, so you're kind of stuck with using something similar to this or making stuff work. Yeah. Looks to me like, yeah, you just don't have enough room. I like these on stock cylinders, they work really good, but this application, not going to fly. And this one here is a little bit too tall. Most likely, like they always are. But I'm going to go mock it up. I'll go see if I can find a couple stock length ones without opening up the new ones. We'll be back. Okay, I got my nuts and stuff out here. Couldn't find any used stuff, so we'll deal with new stuff. Okay, so this is the wrench we got to use on these here. These are 7/16 inch hex, which gets you a nice smaller diameter wrench to use. These are the old S&S ones, tall nuts. And you use a 1/2 inch hex, which takes a lot bigger wrench, a lot thicker. Definitely no room for these. But these are stainless steel, so you can actually cut these down a little bit to get room. So you can custom make these ones to work. You need to tighten the piss out of these. So for racing stuff, I still use it. I'll just shorten them with what I need, make them work, or I just cut the cylinder. Easy to cut the cylinder out. That way I don't have a problem ever. Okay, so when you take the wrench and you lay it in here, there's a cut up. There's a cut right here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's not all the way what the fin is. Now if you go in there and die grind that out, you can gain a little bit. So if you just push it in, go like that, and measure right here, we come up with about 1 inch and 30 thou to 50 thousandths. So it's 30 to 50 thou. The nut right here, when you measure it, top to bottom, it's about 1/100. So that means you're about 50 thou to 75 thou too short, or too tall in this case. So if you shorten your stud down a 1/16 of an inch, then you could use the long nut like this, which is a lot better looking, a lot more thread, looks better than the stupid stubby little nut like this that you have no room for. So this one here I'd have to shorten a little over 1/8 of an inch to make it work. So I like the idea of using this nut because it looks a lot better than this damn nut. And I like the extra holding power. So more than likely I'll probably shorten the studs up a little bit to use these ones. Now if I went and shorten the nut up itself, then all the chrome would flake off, you'd have a problem. So if you're going to run a short stud, you might as well run a short stud anyway, right? Now I'm not sure how much length of these I'm going to get in here. So first thing I do is open up the package and see what we got to deal with. Get one of these yanked out of here. There we go. On top of one of his studs. Of course, he doesn't want to go all the way in. Do our mark up again here. This time we're going to use the stud here as the install fixture. See, the stud wobbles really nicely. So everything's bottomed out, stud and case, nut and stud. We got 5/8 of an inch. Cylinder is 11/16, so we got a 1/16 less than we need. So if you had this, if this cylinder was cut away up in here, you could just run this thing the way it was, like it's supposed to be. But we don't have that. And these studs aren't exactly the best quality, as we can see. They're wobbling all over the place. Now if I use a colony stud, they're a lot better quality easily. I made a little differently, I bet, too. So you have less thread down here in the bottom. So that means they hang up further on the top. So that's a negative in my opinion. But remember, these studs weren't bottoming out anyway. This one here did. So I prefer the Harley stud because you get more, there's at least one full thread more thread to go. So I prefer the Harley stud. That tells me right there which one I want to use. I don't like the way these are made. Okay. Now, the stud goes all the way down, which you didn't do before. Can we get this in here? Pull it back a little bit. Now you cannot put the case together, the cylinder together and put the nut on it. See, you can't do it. It doesn't work. You actually have to get this thing started first, like this. Jeez. Doesn't like me, does it? There it goes. Not much of a starting thread on that damn stud. Okay, you just got to put them on a little at a time. That's how you do it. You bring the cylinder down a little bit at a time as you tighten these up. It's a disadvantage of the style hardware. Okay, so it's all the way down. I take a wrench, see how far off we are. So the problem's not going to be the stud, the problem is the nut's too tall. So you can shorten the stud all you want and it can make no difference. You can't get the wrench in there because it's too tall. It's probably 100 thou is what you have to take off because it's 50 thou up here on the fin, and then you got to get past that other part underneath that, which is even bigger. So you would have to shorten this nut by probably 100 thou to make it all work. That's why they took this nut here and they shortened it by 200 thousandths. You get lots of room. So you're back using a crappy ass nut again, or cut the fins away. Or you shorten the nut up and hope the chrome is good when you're done. So that's the negative. Or you use the open end like this to tighten it, which doesn't work too good because you can't get enough torque on it to do it. The wrench spreads. It just doesn't work. That's why I like grinding the fins away on the head, or cylinder, I mean. Because I like running my full nut on there, when possible. Now my bike, I would just shorten the nut up. That's what I would do. Probably have to shorten the stud up slightly too. And I can run my full nut, because I want to use as much nut as I can. So I do a combination of three things. Shorten nut, shorten stud, cut cylinder. Okay, so that's where we're at for now. I get to figure out what I want to do. Now these are already all powder coated. Customer probably won't like it if I go grind his damn stuff all out. So you can see how it's right in here. It's this area here is where it has to be cut away. Even the fin is too thick. You have to cut the fin away a little bit in that whole area. So that's a lot of work. And you have to recoat the cylinder. So we're probably not going to do that one. So now it just comes down to, do I want to shorten this nut up? Or do I want to use an ugly ass nut that he's going to have to re-chrome, because he don't like crappy chrome. So if I shorten these up and try it, the chrome might not flake off. We can run them. Just shorten up. So that's kind of where we're at on this one. Alright, so I'll make some decisions of what I'm going to do. Because right now I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go home. It's almost 11. Time to go home. And it's still hot too. Great. Alright, well that's where we're at for now. So we're going to go ahead and punt and wait for another day. And I'll make some decisions then. I doubt if I can get a hold of the customer, but I'll try. Alright, well, that's it for now. Alright, I'm back. You know damn well I'm not going to leave anything until I figure it out tonight. Why would I wait until tomorrow? It's not my way of doing things. So I've been dicking around here a little bit. So basically our problem is the nut, the fin, not the stud length. So this is the wrench we have to use. And you can see how it doesn't really fit on there. It looks like it's pretty close. It might be, you might be able to make it work relatively easily, but in the real world that's not true. We're hitting on the upper part of the fin. Fins are tapered a little bit, and then we got the undercut on the bottom, or overcut in this case. Okay, so you take this one off here. Go ahead and install the wrench in there like that. Put the stud back on it. Okay, there's our real world number right there. When you hold the stud flat, you only have this much movement to come up. And when you measure it right here, you have about 150 thousandths of shoulder showing, and it's 300 thou tall. So that means you have to cut 150 thousandths off to get this wrench out of here. That's it's more cutting I want to do. So even though this looks better, by the time you cut 150 off this, you're almost at the other one, because the other one's 200 thou less. Maybe this one. This is 200 thou shorter than this one over here. This one here, you can see how the wrench has 50 thou clearance here. It looks like it's about 100, but it's only really about 50 when you get down to that shoulder that's right there. You can probably maybe squeeze 75 on a couple of them, but you figure it's going to be about 50 thou or so there. So that's what you're at. Like I said, you can maybe squeeze 75 out of it instead of 50. Either way, you're going to have to cut off 225 thousandths. Or not 225, you have to take a 1/8 inch off minimum off of this, more than likely 150. And you're only going to gain about 50 to 75 thou more height, which is basically about here. See right there? It's about where you're at. Now me, I probably like running a little washer under here to help spread the load like you're supposed to. There's probably not room to do that though, but if I did, that would be your 75 thousandths. So anyway, pretty much stuck with this here. Now it just comes down to the customer going to live with the unpolished crappy chrome that S&S gives you, or is he going to send them out and have them cleaned up and make them look like these polished chrome. So that will be the decision for the customer to make. So that's not going to keep me from putting more together because I got to mock it up all the way, make sure everything fits, then take it all the way apart and put it together for real. So looks like we're stuck using S&S crap. Otherwise we have to cut these down and then have them re-chrome most likely, because I imagine the chrome will flake as soon as you start tightening it. Be my guess. I'd probably do it. So, or we'll do it later and a big piece will fall off and then it'll be rusty and the customer won't be happy anyway. So by the time you bought nuts, shortened them, chromed them, you're only going to do it the thickness of a washer is all you're dealing with. It's just not worth it. So that's the decision for tonight. So now we are going to go home this time. That's it.